Hi, it's John Voot, and this lesson is on Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles from Trinity Rock and Pop Drums, Grade 5. So looking at the sheet music in the book, you've got the song title at the top of the page, and then beneath that it says guitar intro in a box there. So that's just letting you know the first section of the song is the guitar intro. And beneath that, you've got the performance mark in there that says bright and light. So that gives you an idea of the song you're about to play, and obviously gives you an idea of how you're going to play. Okay, so you want to keep this nice and bright and light. Okay, so it's an upbeat song, but you don't want it too heavy. Okay, it's very sort of based on guitar, like the melody of the song, very prominent. So you just want to make sure you're holding a nice foundation for that beautiful melody to play over the top. Okay, so keep it nice and light, but keep that bright, sort of bouncy, happy vibe to the song. And then beside that, you've got the tempo. So it says a quarter note equals 129. So it's going to be 129 quarter note beats per minute. Okay, so it's a sort of fast, medium song. Okay, so it's got a kind of, sort of slight sort of push to it. Okay, so in terms of tempo, you obviously don't want to be pushing the tempo. You don't want to be playing too fast. But the song's got quite a push behind it because it's slightly fast. Okay, so beneath that, first bar of music there. At the start we've got the percussion clef, and then beside that we've got the time signature. So it says 4/4 there at the start of the first bar. So the 4 at the top tells us there's 4 beats in the bar, 4 at the bottom tells us each one of those beats is a quarter note. Okay, so that's the note value of the beat. So we've got 4 quarter note beats in the bar. Okay, and then we've got in that first bar we've got a multi-bar rest with a number 8 above it, so we're resting for the first 8 bars. Okay, so the guitar plays in those first 8 bars. It's the intro. Okay, so that's why we got that rehearsal mark in there, the guitar intro above the first bar, just letting you know 8 bars there of the guitar intro. Then we've got the double bar line, and then we come into the next bar where we've got another multi-bar rest with a number 4 above it, so we're resting for 4 bars there. And above that, it's above that multi-bar rest, the four bar rest, we've got Here Comes the Sun. So that's the lyrics of the song at that point. Okay, so it's just a nice pointer. So when we hear those lyrics, we know where we are. And then after those 4 bars of rest, we've got a bar there where we've got half note rest, quarter note rest, and then an 8th note rest. And then we come in on the 8th note on the and of 4. Okay, so that final 8th note of the bar, hi-hat and snare drum in unison. You can see it says "It's Alright" above that bar. Again, that's the lyrics of the song at that point. So we know when we hear "It's Alright," that's when we come in with that hi-hat and bass drum after those lyrics. Beneath that bar, we've got MF, short for mezzo forte half loud. So you want to come in about your normal playing level there. So remember, this is a sort of light rock song. Okay, so mezzo forte is obviously relative to the style you're playing and the venue you're playing and the ambience you're playing in. Okay, so keep it bright but light, not too heavy. Okay, so we're in with that on the and of 4 there, so that would be bar 13, and then in bar 14 we carry on hi-hat and snare drum in unison on the first beat. And we had a bass drum as well in unison, so the 3 parts of the kit in unison there. We've got 8th notes on the hi-hat for the whole bar, and we've got these syncopated pushes on the snare and bass drum. Okay, and it goes over the bar line. So we've got bar 14 there, where we're playing snare and bass drum on the 1, the and of 2 and the 4, and then in the next bar, so it goes over the bar line, continues those syncopated pushes. We've got one on the and of 1 as well. Okay, so we're playing 8th notes up until that and of 2 in that bar. Okay, so this is bar 14 and 15. So 8th notes on the hi-hat through bar 14 and to the and of 2 of bar 15. And the pushes are played snare and bass drum in unison on the 1, the and of 2, the 4, and then the and of 1. Okay, so to play that through, and we'll also play that note at the end of bar 13 as well, on the and of 4. So we're coming on the and of 4. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we've got a little fill there at the end of bar 15. We've got a hi-hat and snare drum in unison on that 3. Then we come up to the high tom or small tom with the right hand on the and of 3, and then we come down to the floor tom. We've got 2/16 and an 8th note, so that'd be 40 and. You're gonna play that right, left, right. Okay, so just that second half of the bar there in bar 15. We've got 1, 2. Okay, so together in unison, right, right, left, right. So we'll play those 3 bars, okay? Bars 13, 14 and 15. So these are the pushes over the bar line. So, okay, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that takes you into the next line where the verse starts. You can see verse there written in a box. And you can see the sign there, so we know we're going to be coming back to this point later in the songs. We just need to make a mental note of that, okay, where that sign is. Start the verse. We've got a open repeat sign or a start repeat sign there as well at the start of the verse. So we're going to be coming back to this start repeat as well. Okay, so we're going to be coming back to this point we know at least twice with the sign and the start repeat sign. Okay, we've got a 1 bar groove for this verse. We've got an 8th note groove, 8th notes on the hi-hat, and a bass and snare drum pattern. So we've got a bass on 1 for a quarter note, snare for an 8th note on 2, bass drum for an 8th note on the end of 2. We've got an 8th note rest on the 3, 8th note bass drum on the end of 3, 8th note snare drum on the 4, 8th note bass drum on the end of 4. So you've got your standard 2 and 4 backbeat, typical of a lot of rock music. And then you just got your bass drum pattern there. Nice upbeats on there. Okay, so we've got the upbeat of 2, upbeat of 3, and upbeat of 4 on the bass drum, which gives it that upbeat feel, okay, to the song. All right, so that 1 bar groove, we'll take out the crash first of all, we'll just play on the hi-hat. 1 bar groove, just repeated through. Get hold of that first. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so a nice simple groove, and then we've got 2 1 bar repeats. We repeat that groove 2 times. Okay, so we play it for 3 times there. We only crash on the 1 of the first bar. Okay, remember we don't crash for the start of those repeats. That crash accentuates the start of the verse, and then we come into the next bar, which is bar 19, where we've got the same groove for the first half of the bar, and then we've got a little fill in the second half. So we play an 8th note on the 3, we move the right hand to play an 8th note on the high tom on the end of 3, and then we play the snare drum on its own as the backbeat of 4 left hand, then we've got open hi-hat for an 8th note on the end of 4. Okay, so that bar 19, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll try that line, put the crash in on the 1 and bar 16, so bars 16 to 19. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we come into the next line of the verse where we've got the same 1 bar groove that we played in the first bar of the verse, bar 16. Okay, you can see the plus sign above the first hi-hat in that bar, just so you know to close the hi-hat on the 1 there. Okay, so we've got that 1 bar groove, and then we've got 7 1 bar repeats. Okay, so we've got 3 1 bar repeats for the rest of that line, and then another 4 1 bar repeats in the next line as well, the 4th line of the piece. Okay, so you're playing that groove, that 1 bar groove, for 8 bars there, so from bars 20 to 27. Okay, so you just need a nice consistent feel to that part of the song. Just keep that consistent groove, rock solid groove, add feel. Okay, so it's a simple groove to play, but that means you can put more mental energy into the feel of the groove. Okay, so make sure you're putting the energy, portraying the vibe of the song. You're not just playing notes, you're not just playing. Okay, really put your heart and soul into it to portray the feel of the song. Okay, and you can see we've got to Coda at the end of bar 27 there, so obviously we're going to just make a mental note of that again. Okay, we can ignore that for now. We come into the next line where we've got a first ending there, so you can see the volta brackets there, the first time ending. And in bar 28A, we've got a similar groove to what we've been playing in that verse, but we just got to change up at the end where we've got a double snare hit on the 4 and the and of 4. So instead of the bass drum on the and of 4, we just got a snare drum. So bar 28A, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and above that bar it says it's alright. Okay, so again the lyrics of the song, so when you hear that it's alright, you know where you are in the song. Okay, you know you're at the end of that part. And also above bar 24, the previous line, it says here comes the sun. Okay, again the lyrics of the song at that point. So just these nice cues when you're playing the music and there's lots of repeats, you can come away from the music, just put your energy and feel into the notes, and then when you hear these cues, these lyrical cues, you can see exactly where you are in the song. So it just means you don't have to follow every single bar. It means you lose the chance to put the feel into the music. Okay, so if you're sight reading this piece and you're just playing it from sight reading it, it's just nice to be able to come away from just reading everything, put some feel into it, and then just look up when you need to, i.e. when you hear the lyrics or when you feel those 4th or 8th bars. Okay, so you can see above bar 23 and above bar 27. So you've got the number 4 above bar 23 and the number 8 there above bar 27. So that's the 4th time we're playing the groove there above bar 23, and the 8th time we're playing the groove there above bar 27. So again, when you feel those bars that you're on, so you're on the 4th bar, you can look up and see exactly where you are. Okay, it's just nice cues, so you don't have to just stare at every single bar, especially the 1 bar repeats. Okay, then after bar 28A, we come into those pushes that you played in the first line. Okay, but this time we haven't got the bass drum, so we just got hi-hat and snare in unison for the pushes, and they go over the bar line again to the end of the 2nd beat, and then for beats 3 and 4 in bar 30A. Okay, so this is in the first ending, bar 30 in the first ending. We've got a 2-beat fill on beats 3 and 4. We've got 2 16th notes on the high tom, and then an 8th note on the mid tom, and then we've got 2 more 16th notes on the mid tom and an 8th note on the low tom. Okay, so we've got 3E and 4E and, so we got 1, 2. So they come after those pushes. So we'll try bars 29 and 30A. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we crash into the groove in bar 31A. Okay, so it's pretty much the same groove that we played in the verse, but we just haven't got that bass drum on the and of 4. So we crash in with that groove, and then we got half a bar of groove there, 8th note groove in the next bar, which would be bar 32A, and then we got a 2-beat fill. Okay, for beats 3 and 4, you got 3E ander on the snare drum, 4E and on the high tom. So you got right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So that bar 32A, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we'll just go through that whole first ending. Okay, so that's the end of the first ending. You can see the end repeat sign at the end of that line. Okay, so we'll try that whole first ending. So bars 28 to 32A, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we're going to get that down first, get all the parts down, work up to the song tempo. Okay, so start a nice comfortable tempo just to get to know the parts. As you get to know the parts, like I said, more energy can go into how you're playing the notes. Okay, so that's really important at this stage in your drumming. Okay, at grade 5, you want to make sure you're not just playing notes, you're really putting the feel into the notes. Okay, making it feel good, sound good. Okay, so once you got to that point, once you get to know the parts and adding feel to the parts, get up to that song tempo, 129 beats per minute, and then once you're there, try the whole section. Okay, so playing from the start to the end of the first ending, and then so we'll try that first of all. Okay, at the song tempo, 129 beats per minute. Okay, so the very start to the end of the first ending. So we'll skip past the multi-bar rests initially. Okay, when we're playing this with the metronome, so we'll come in bar 13. Okay, so we'll play through from bar 13 to the end of the first ending. And now we'll try from the very start of the piece to the end of the first ending in time with a backing track. Okay, so remember you've got 8 bars of rest for the guitar intro, then another 4 bars of rest, okay, and then we come in at the end of bar 13, okay, with those syncopated pushes, and then we're into a nice rock solid verse groove, okay, so keep it solid and consistent, and just make sure the groove is the right vibe of the song, okay. So remember, it says bright and light, so you want a nice bright feel, it's upbeat, okay, it's singing about the sun coming out, okay, it's coming back. All right, so you need to make sure you've got that light, bouncy, bright feel to the notes, okay. Then make sure first ending, you've got those nice and lined up pushes again, okay. That's the important part with the pushes, making sure they're really accurately placed, those notes, finishing with that feel, okay. So let's try from the very beginning of the piece to the end of the first ending in time with the backing track.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles
So after that first time ending, we hit that end repeat sign, which takes us back to the start repeat sign, which we saw was at the start of the verse. Okay, so we go back to bar 16. We've got that 1 bar groove again for the verse, and beneath the first bar of the verse it says vary fills on repeats. So as this is one of the repeats, any fill we see in the verse we can vary. Okay, so you can vary it however you want to vary it. Alright, so you've got the 1 bar groove in the first bar of the verse, we crash in, we've got 2 1 bar repeats, and then in bar 19 we've got that half bar fill, so that's one of the fills you can vary. Now I just vary it up by like playing a double snare hit, maybe adding an open hi-hat as well, but like I said, you vary it however you feel you want to vary it with the music. Okay, so obviously make sure it's fitting with the music. It's nice and light, bright and simple, this song, so you don't want to play a crazy complex fill that sort of take everyone's attention away from the beautiful melody of the song. Okay, so not too attention grabbing, just a nice articulated bit of texture for that feel. Okay, and then we come into bar 20 again, where we're back to the 1 bar groove. We've got all the 1 bar repeats, keep a nice solid consistent groove, and then when we come to the end of bar 27 we then go to the second ending. Okay, the second time ending. The first 3 bars, very similar to what you played for the first 3 bars of the first time ending. So the first 2 bars are exactly the same. So we've got that change up at the end of the first bar of the second time ending, when we've got that double snare hit at the end of the end of bar 28B. So we play that snare drum in unison with the hi-hat instead of the bass drum on the end of 4. And then we've got those pushes through the next bar, over the bar line into bar 30B, and then we come to the 3rd and 4th beat of bar 30B, where we've got a 2-beat fill. We've got 8th notes on the 3, so we've got right on snare drum, left on high tom, and then we've got 2 16th notes and an 8th note on the 4, so that'd be 40, and we're going to play right, left, right on the floor tom, so that fill will be 1, 2. Okay, and then we've got in the next bar, bar 31B, we crash into the verse groove again, and then we've got a time signature change in bar 32B. So the time signature changes to 7/8. So we've got 7 beats in the bar, and an 8th note is the note value of a beat. Okay, so we've got 7 8th notes in this bar. So we've got a crash and snare drum in unison for a quarter note. So a quarter note in 7/8 lasts for 2 beats. Okay, because remember the beat is an 8th note now. Okay, so quarter note lasts 2 beats. And then we've got another crash and snare in unison for another 2 beats. Okay, so the first crash and snare lasts for beats 1 and 2. The second crash and snare lasts for beats 3 and 4. And then we've got a dotted quarter note rest. Okay, so a quarter note in 7/8 lasts 2 beats. So a dotted quarter note is going to last for 3 beats. Okay, so we've got beats 1 and 2, crash and snare. Beats 3 and 4 on crash and snare. And then beats 5, 6, 7 as a rest. Okay, so we'll try those 2 bars. So bars 31 and 32B. So we've got a bar of 4, 4 and a bar of 7, 8. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so you've got to be comfortable with your time signature changes. So we'll try that whole line. Okay, bars 28B to bar 32B. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the second time bar. Okay, the second time ending. So what we're going to do now is we're going to try it from the start of the verse, play through with the second time ending. Okay, so we're going to go bar 16 to bar 27, then jump to the second time ending, bars 28 to 32B. Okay, so we'll try that at the song tempo, 129 beats per minute. And now we'll try that in time with the backing track. Okay, so this is the second verse. Okay, so just like with the first verse, a nice solid, consistent 1 bar groove. Vary the fill. Okay, and then when you come into the second time ending, make sure those pushes nice and lined up in the correct places. Okay, nice and neat and tidy. Nice tidy fills, and just make sure you're comfortable with that time to change into 7/8. Okay, so let's try that now in time with the backing track.
Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun, here comes the sun, and I say it's alright.
So now we come on to the second page of the piece, starting at bar 33. So in this first couple of lines, we've got some time signature changes. So we start in 6/8 in bar 33. So we got 6 eighth notes in the bar. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got a dotted quarter note on the crash and bass drum in unison for which lasts the first 3 beats of the bar. And then we've got eighth notes on the hi-hat and a snare drum playing a dotted quarter note for the second half of the bar. So you've got crash for 1, 2, 3, and then snare on 4 with hi-hat in unison, and then 5, 6 on hi-hat there. Okay, now the notes are grouped, so there's groupings going on in this section of the song. Okay, so you can think of it as 3 and 3. So you've got crash and bass drum, which lasts the first 3, and you've got snare and hi-hat in unison, hi-hat for the second 3. So you can feel it as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then in the next bar, which is bar 34, we change time signature to 5/8. So we're still feeling that eighth note pulse, but we've got 5 beats in the bar this time. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, you can group these notes. So we got 3 and a 2. So the first 3, you've got eighth notes on the hi-hat playing 1, 2, 3. Bass drum, snare drum on the 1. So you've got snare drum in unison there. So 1, 2, 3. And then we've got a 2, which is the 4 and the 5, so hi-hat, and you got a snare again playing that 4. Okay, so that bar, the 5/8 bar, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so those 2 bars together, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you can feel that as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, then we've got a bar of 4, 4, so you just crash into a nice eighth note 4, 4 groove. So that bar, which is bar 35, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, then we've got another time signature change to 7/8 for bar 36. So we've got 7/8 notes in this bar. Now we're playing the same thing we've just played in the previous bar, the same thing as bar 35, but now it's an 1/8 note shorter. So we haven't got that hi-hat by itself for the last 1/8 note. So that bar, the 7/8 bar for bar 36, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to try that whole line, okay, the top line of the second page, bars 33 to 36. Okay, so we've got a bar of 6/8, a bar of 5/8, a bar of 4/4, and a bar of 7/8. We're counting those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so be able to count the time signatures first to make sure you're comfortable counting the changes. And then we're going to put that together. So again, like I said, you can group the notes. You can feel it as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you can group them like that. So that line, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now the next line, you're playing the exact same thing, and you can see the last 2 bars of the next line. We've got a first and second ending there, first and second time ending. So we've got a start repeat at the start of bar 33, the start of the top line of the second page. We play through the top line, we play through the whole of the second line, so that's the first ending, and then we hit the end repeat sign at the end of bar 38, which means we go back to the start repeat sign at the start of bar 33. We play through the top line of the second page again, and the second line, which would be the second ending, and then we hit the end repeat sign again. We go back to the start repeat at the start of bar 33. We play through the top line there, and then bars 37 and 38, and then we go to the third time ending, which starts at the start of the third line of the second page at 39B. Okay, now in the third time ending, we've got that 1/8 note groove that we played in the previous line. Okay, so we crash in, play that basic 1/8 note groove. We've got half a bar of the groove in the next bar, so bar 40, 40B that is, and then we've got two beats of slash notation, so we're going to improvise a fill. So again, you just want to keep a nice simple fill there. So I like to play 16th notes, so I play like 4 16th notes on the snare, 4 16th notes on the floor tom. So those 2 bars, the first 2 bars of the third time ending, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then we got pretty much the same thing for the next 2 bars, but we just haven't got the crash to start the groove. Okay, so after that little fill, that 2-beat fill, back on the hi-hat, no crash. Okay, then you've got another 2-beat fill there, and then in the last bar of that line, so bar 43, you've just got the 1/8 note groove again. Okay, so the key part with this line is to make sure you don't crash after the fill. So just keep the fills rolling the groove. Okay, so that line, so the third time ending, so bars 39B to the end of that line to the end, to bar 43, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so get that all together. Make sure you're understanding the endings. Okay, so like I said, start, repeat. Play the first ending, start, repeat again, play the second ending, which is the same as the first ending, start, repeat, and then we go through and play the third ending. Okay, so let's try all of that now in time with the metronome. And now we'll try it in time with the backing track. So those 3 lines, okay, so the time signature changes are grouping these notes, okay, which really fits with the music, okay. So make sure you're really tidy with the time signature changes, support the time signature changes, okay. So you've got to be really steady with all of them and really rely on those 8th notes, okay. So you've got 8th notes for most of the time signature changes. So as long as they're consistent, the time should be good, okay? You don't want to be speeding up or slowing down them 8th notes. Keep that as the consistent part, and then just be comfortable with the time changes internally, okay? So really key to make sure this part of the song is tidy, okay? So let's try those 3 lines now in time with the backing track.
Sun, here it comes. Sun, 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 here it comes.
So at the end of that section, we can see at the end of bar 43 there it says DS al Coda, which is short for Del Segno al Coda. So we go back to the sign, which obviously we saw earlier was at the start of the verse. Okay, so we go back to bar 16 again. We crash into that 1 bar groove, and again this is another repeat. So remember beneath that first bar of the verse it says vary fills on repeat. So when we hit that fill at the end of bar 19, we can vary it again, and then we play through the next line of the verse, the next line of the verse as well. Then when we get to the end of bar 27, it says to coda, which takes us to the tail of the piece there. So the coda at the end of the piece, starting at bar 44, we've got that same 8th note groove with a double snare hit at the end of the bar, okay, which we played before. And then we've got those syncopated pushes in the next 2 bars. And then we've got that 2-beat fill that we've already played. So we played this 2-beat fill in the first ending of the first verse, okay, where we got 3E and 4E and on the toms. Okay, then we come into the 1 bar groove again, starting at bar 47. So we crash into the verse groove. We've got 3 1 bar repeats. So we're playing that 4 times there. You can see the number 4 there above the 4th time of playing the groove. Then on to the next line, starting at bar 51. We've got that double snare hit again. And then in the next 2 bars, we've got that the syncopated pushes again. And then we've got a 2-beat fill at the end of bar 53. We've just got 16th notes on the small toms. That'd be 3E and 2/16ths on the medium tom. That'd be 4E. And then an 8th note on the floor tom. That'd be the and. So it's 3E and 4E and for that fill. So it's 1, 2. Okay, so we just try that line. So bars 51, 52 and 53. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so nice and easy. And then in the last line, starting at bar 54, we crash into the 1 bar groove again that we've played throughout this song. We've got the syncopated pushes again, and then we've got a 2-beat fill in bar 56. We've got an 8th note on the snare, 2/16ths on the high tom, and then 16th notes. We've got 2 on the medium tom, 2 on the floor tom. So that rhythm of that fill is 3 and 4E and so we got 1, 2. And then we crash at the start of the next bar with the bass drum in unison. And then we've got a fermata in the final bar. So we just pause. Okay, the band hold the note until the track ends. Okay, so let's just go for that last line. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so nice, easy finish there. You just need to make sure in this section, after you play the fill at the end of bar 53, you crash into the groove and you've only got 1 bar of that groove before you've got another set of syncopated pushes. Okay, so just don't settle into that groove in bar 54 for too long. Make sure you come out with those syncopated pushes. Okay, so we're going to try that section now, the coda, the whole coda, in time with the metronome first of all. just as before, nice flow to the groove, and make sure those syncopated pushes are really neat and tidy, okay? A nice flow to them as well. All right, so let's try that now in time with the metronome. And now we'll try that section, so the whole coda in time with the backing track. Okay, so key to keep those syncopated pushes nice and tidy. Obviously they really line up with the track, really important to play well, and then just a nice flow to the end of this song. Okay, so keep the energy consistent. We've stayed at the same dynamic throughout the song, so just make sure you're still there and really kind of finish this song nicely. Okay, really neat and tidy, that's all you need to be. Okay, put the feel into the notes. All right, so let's try this section now, the coda in time with the backing track.
Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright.
Okay, so that's all of the sections of the track. So once you can play each section individually, you want to work on the transitions from section to section. Okay, so we've got the first line, the intro, so you want to work on going from the intro into the first verse, and then you've got first verse into second verse, work on that transition, and then second verse into the time signature change section. Okay, so that's obviously one of the trickiest parts, and then you've got the time signature change section, back into the verse, work on that transition, and then you've got the final verse into the coda, so you need to work on that transition as well. So make sure you can change from part to part, and then when you've got that, you want to put the whole song together. Okay, so it's quite a straightforward song rhythmically. Okay, so you want to make sure you're putting the feel into the notes, so really portray the feel and the vibe of this song. It's really important. It's a really bright, upbeat song, so make sure you're giving it that feel and you're not playing too heavy. Okay, so remember it says at the start there, the performance marking, bright and light, so keep it light but upbeat and happy. Okay, keep mezzo forte, so that dynamic consistent throughout. Keep the eighth notes consistent throughout. Nice, solid, consistent groove, and make sure the time signature changes are really neat and tidy. Okay, you're really comfortable with that to really make sure that section's tidy. Okay, so you see how I'm putting emphasis on tidy. That's really key for this song. Just be a nice foundation for that beautiful melodic guitar part in this track, and just make sure those syncopated pushes, again, you're really tidy with those. All right, so once you're there with the track, take as long as you need to get there. Okay, make sure you're comfortable playing the notes. Don't rush yourself. Okay, remember the grade's not important. It's about developing you as a musician, and then the grades will come. Okay, so let's try now the whole track in time with the metronome first of all.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say
And then finally, the fun bit. Let's play the whole piece now in time with the backing track. Okay, so remember you've got the multi-bar rest at the start of the piece. You've got 8 bars for the guitar intro, then another 4-bar rest. Okay, and then we're in with our syncopated pushes. Nice, tidy entrance from the drums. Solid groove. Make sure you're good with both the first and second endings for the first and second verse. Time signature changes. Keep that flowing. Really support the music in those time signature changes. Make sure, okay, they're really smooth. So there's no stutteriness to that section. Okay, you're just going through those time signatures comfortably, and then you've got final verse and the coda. Okay, so let's put it all together in time with the backing track and enjoy it. All right, it's a great song to play.
Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, the smiles returning to their faces. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Sun, 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 here it comes. 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 Little darling, I feel that ice is slowly melting. Little darling, it seems like years since it's been clear. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. It's alright. Here comes the sun, doo-doo-doo-doo. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Little darling, it feels like years since it's been here. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's alright. Here comes the sun. Here comes the sun, and I say it's all